So take it from me, the 14-year-old kid that won. If a 14-year-old kid can manage to scare them by showing them how easily he took away their power, their power. Because this is supposed to be a state organization. They're not supposed to make mistakes. They're not supposed to lose against a citizen, let alone someone who has only finished his or half of his freshman year. So, by the way, let the record be known that year I was the only freshman in that school that actually managed to have all his credits for that first half of the semester. Yeah, what does that say? And anyways, back on the subject. Yeah. The fact the 14-year-old kid scare him like that. See, maybe they're not scared of us now. But when they see that, because there will come a time when they get tired of us marching around like that. I mean, we're probably just amusing them now. They're looking at us with our our little picket signs saying, look at them all in the street holding their picket signs. It's like looking into their homeless futures. They're probably having that mentality. But over time, they'll get annoyed. And this is when, because, what I faced was this state thing. This is a much bigger thing we're facing than just the local DHS office. And I do expect them to put up a better fight. Be a lot smarter, in fact. But the thing is, like I said, there was a 14-year-old who beat the state organization. See, I just found out today that, actually, I found out yesterday that this rally was going on. After I already started this thing, and I was thinking, hey, this is exactly what I'm fighting for. This is exactly why I'm doing this documentary about people's rights. And I didn't even think about my own experiences with this country and how fucked up it is until the lady offering free signs and I started writing off my organization because it was just helping others. Done on the back, I was like, wait, because I flipped the other side. I was like, wait, I have a story to tell. And actually, I wasn't even thinking about how I won. I was just thinking about what they did to me. I said, hey, I came here with wanting to make an impact. And believe me, when I was writing this, I was nervous. And right when I started to write the M for meth, when we're talking about giving foster kids meth, and how the state's doing all that, whew, my nerves went from nervous to, it's like veins popping out of my head. Yeah. But a 14-year-old kid could take on that. And you see, I'm 20. I do believe I've gotten even more smarter since then. 6 years, I'd hope so. And I know all those people there, I was listening to them. Whether they were wrong or right, those are conclusions they took, that they came to after a lot of contemplating. And I know you gotta be take it from me, you gotta be really smart just to pull off that kind of thinking. That's the kind of thinking we sat in a room for hours on end, building it up. But hey, this is the world they created, not us. We may have ushered it in, but it was under the blindfold they had us wear. And so, they may try to call us monsters, but the truth is, we're just the last product that corporation will ever produce. Because a 14-year-old kid could do that to a DHS office, could do that to a local DHS office. What do you think that not only the 10,000 that showed up in Portland today, but the massive turnout that happened all over the country? I mean, I found out that there was quite a bit more in New York. By the way, I found something else out. Because the capacity for Pioneer Square is in fact 10,000 people. And there was overflowing. But the news reported it as 5,000. Now I know how big New York is. And they said that was 10,000. Take what the news said, double it, and that's usually the turnout that actually happened. Just that they don't want to say that many people showed up. So, that being said, 10,000 in Portland, 20,000 in New York, 1,000 in Austin, Texas, which I know Austin, Texas, I know the conservative and anti a lot of really nice things, but I know one thing. When it comes to their rights, it's a lot more than 1,000 to show up to that. And it ain't no peaceful rally, it's a gunfight. In fact, truth for fact, the only reason why there's so many Republican presidents, or just any president that says they're gonna protect, gun rights, it's because the South, well, remember what happened last time they tried to take the guns? They said, okay, but first, can you pull it out of our arms? And they didn't, as it turned out, the government didn't really have the balls to do that. Which is another example. This many people around the whole, it's not just in one city of one state. Because there was a whole bunch in Los Angeles too that turned out. So obviously this was the country. And earlier today I heard this dude he was born in Syria. And like a long time ago he came into the U.S., got his education, became a doctor. Oh, and if y'all think that he's just an immigrant feeding off the welfare of real Americans, well, I got news for you. What he was protesting for had nothing to do with himself. He was protesting for you guys. He didn't talk about his own problems. He talked about his patients, who he cared about, who he wanted to help. The reason why he became a doctor in the first place now cannot afford his help. By the way, advice, if you're really concerned about that, give him free medical care. Guy got a heart problem, needs surgery, do it for free. Really. Because really all that medical insurance, you might get a piece of it, but little. the big part goes to someone who doesn't deserve it anyways. But back on the subject. With what this country has done, and what this guy told me, because in Syria, turns out that this place has been in the news for a while. And what is going on out there is every day, like the past, I think he said a month. I could be wrong, so don't take that as official facts. But what's been going on out there lately is every day the people of Syria go out into the streets. And then the military come in with tanks and fire them off. Literally killing them. Could you imagine what that's like, marching down the street and watching the person right next to you just blow up? Now imagine this. You still feel the urge to keep on marching. This is the attitude of Syria. Now here in the U.S., yeah, we're going third world, no fucking doubt. But we ain't got that. We ain't got that against us yet. And the longer we have doubt, the longer we have fear, the longer it's going to take. And the longer it's going to take, the more room, the more time that you leave for it to get that bad. So we may be able to do peaceful protests right now. But if this doesn't work out soon, eventually we will be left with no choice. So if we want this to work peaceful, we better stand up and get as many people as we can. Because that's the only way a peaceful one's going to work. But hey, thinking back to my story, thinking back to the Syrians, they're not giving up. You know, and I didn't give up back then. And that was peaceful. And that happened within a curse of, well, pretty much one spring. In fact, it actually was half of that spring. I think right after spring break and then middle of May. That I actually ended up living back with my mom and getting what I wanted. And so, you want it, you gotta get it. But right now, we're lucky to have, well, some people with what little views on humanity they got left. But it is sliding. And it is. I mean, think about it. I'm a foster kid and they forced meth down. As a foster kid. You know, how much further can it go? We'll look at Syria. And unless you guys want it to get that bad, I'd pick up the pace and gather as many people as you can. And another thing, I heard a lot of people yell discouraging things at the police officers today. You know, that is one thing they could use against us. They're human beings too. And in fact, they actually go through a lot of the same troubles. In fact, I don't know a single cop that actually lives in the suburbs. I haven't met one yet. You know, I knew one that used to be my neighbor. Yeah, on the same block that got shot up on a nightly basis. Where his kids also played. Try inviting them. Try actually seeing if they'll march with you. Saying, hey, we want to help you guys out here too. Because after all, sure, maybe you had police brutality, but hey, what this whole thing is about is putting aside our differences, putting what we've done in the past. Because it ain't about our differences now. We ain't got time for that. This is time to unite as Americans. And that's all. So tomorrow, when we're at the rally, I want you to remember that.